like, what can I do to try and win the game now? Well, basically nothing. Like the closest I come most of the time is like, well, I need 2 spores, golden selfless baron, and then something, right? Like either I have my spores are gemmed and I have a ghoul, or but most of the time it's just like 2 spores is not enough to get there.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Murloc lobbies, there are things that matter, right? You can still play compositions that scale. The thing is, you do have to be aware of like, oh, if they have Murlocs, how do I deal with that, right? So
yeah, your play changes drastically.
Or so, yeah, you have to change your draft because Murlocs are in, which is kind of annoying. Personally, I don't like that. I'm more of the why don't my stats win type of guy. So
yeah, I hate it, dude. This is the brain dead. Like, well, I'm just buying Battlecries. My Akela goes, why am I not winning?
And win the game, I'm all for it. You know, personally, instead of I have to play around
that works.
Selfless.
That works until people get good enough that they do that to you, and you sit there like, it's so dumb. Why can't I beat you?
No, they do that to me.
But you could say, like, this guy is clearly, like, he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's going to win because he's got a 200 Master of Realities.
Yeah,
that to me is
sometimes
dumb.
I lose to that, and I'm just like, yeah, well, you know, he outplayed me. You know,
he outplayed you really well there, Collins.
Got the major.
He made his big number bigger, and he sure showed you, right?
The issue where I don't really have too much of a problem with like those scenarios is usually it's like top 4, right? And if I'm getting scammed for like top 4, it doesn't feel as bad as if I'm getting scammed for like top 8, top 7, where it's like, this guy, like, I had a good start, but then like the random dude got an SI7 with poisons, and then I lose, and I lose randomly to 8th, where I had this like huge, like, I don't know, salty or whatever, and it went into this random poison. That's how I lost the game.
I guess that's the difference, where I don't make random huge minions in Murloc lobbies. Unless they're basically free, right? Like I'll have augers or whatever.
Well, I think that is a weird strategy to have, where it's like, Murlocs can't make this big minion.
Yeah, like you don't have to make it larger than necessary, right? Like enough to get through the mid game. You don't want to waste any resources on making like.
So you're saying you've got like a brand and the what's it called, the 3/3 elemental, and you're not like, I'm gonna skip that because there's poison.
Well, it depends, right? Are you putting it on a shield? That's good. Are you putting it on a cleave? That's good, right?
No, I'm putting it.
Like, what are you putting it on that it doesn't matter?
I'm putting my random elemental pair.
Yeah, right. It's like, let me just make my droplet a bit bigger. Like, no, thank you.
Come on, I gotta do it.
I'll go chase my Sephin right now. Like, I feel like Murloc lobbies, a lot of it is just get strong enough for the mid game, and then either you have your shit figured out, where you're going to be Nomi game, or you're going to be Agam, or you're going to be Buster, or whatever it is, or you're going to get a 7 and you're going to scale your own poison.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, I think it's way better than no Murloc lobbies where you're just like, oh, I got a big thing, so you get fucked. Yeah, I hate that. I really hate that playstyle. Like, I high rolled, get fucked, right? Can't do anything.
Some heroes that get better in no Murloc lobbies are absolutely unplayable in Murloc lobbies. And I think, like, opening up the design for like, these heroes, if you can go stats, are pretty good, where if Murlocs are in every game, these heroes are unplayable because they just get countered so easily. So I like having the like extra dynamic.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I'm kind of okay with it right now because it's not the majority of the games. But if the masses would have their ways, you wouldn't have a 7 anymore or whatever, and like almost every game would be a no Murloc.
I can't see no poison in any way. Like, even if you change 7, you'd have to reintroduce something.
No, but they'll be like, well, having a Spore and an Amalgadon is good enough, right? Where you could do like, no, fuck off. It's not. It's not even close. It's not even fucking close.
You need poison right now because.
Yeah, absolutely.
But scaling is too strong.
That's what I'm saying. At some point, I'd like to talk about that, where it's just, like where we talk about like what's the root cause, right? The root cause is scaling is really accessible right now. Like, you can make crazy high numbers compared to, before this power creep, right? It's just easier to make large boards. So poison is just way more popular because large boards are very, very easy to get. So if you want to tone down poison, you have to tone down scaling, which I don't think is going to happen.
If
Because
scaling was weaker, Beast would be the king, right? Where it's like, oh, double
yeah, you
Molotov
have
like
Buster,
kills
right?
everything.
Buster would shit on everything.
So
Just
you could,
imagine a Mega Buster, right? When scaling is weaker as well.
yeah. So it's kind of weird.
And I don't think Blizzard is going to say like, you know what, we've power crept with buddies and stuff. We're gonna just go back and we're gonna go back to rolling for junk pots, right? And so
I
I don't
I
think
I would
that's what I'm
like
gonna
to
do.
see how they would even do that, where they tone it
Yeah.
down, where like on average your biggest minion's like a 40-40. Like
Have we started, by the way? Is this like official already,
no,
or
we haven't started officially. I was
all
just
right?
like,
Well,
we're
let's
having a
start.
good discussion. Let me turn it on.
I'm just saying, like one of the future episodes. Will,
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking off stream, and I was like, you know what? I'm already ready. This doesn't happen because I did the slides yesterday. Like that never happens. I'm like, I'm already done, Shady.
take advantage of it. Yeah, for sure.
So, decided to just turn it on. Hello, but we can go back to normalcy and
All right.
our regular spiel, whatever it's called. But
Yeah, this was pre-show.
Yeah.
Pre-show rant.
I'm not ranting.
No, it's me. I'm doing all the ranting.
There we go. I'm just listening to him rant.
It's just some frustration because I just it just seems to be that is maybe not the consensus, but definitely the dominant opinion of poison bad, nerf 7, people riot. I was just like, you guys don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or it's either you guys know and you're actually okay with it, which is I think is more scary, or you have no idea what the meta is going to be.
You gotta start listening to less people. You know what I mean? Like.
No. It's not that I'm listening that much to them. It's I'm afraid that Blizzard listens to them, right? We've seen that in the past where some shit happened. We're like, oh, you guys asked for this, so here you go. Like,
yeah, I guess that is
like Mac's not gone, right? That's another thing. Mac's not gone.
That
not
was
reworked.
pretty much
like nerf Mac's not people riot, right? Mac's not reborn. Like, and the thing is, like, yeah, Mac's not reborn was ridiculous. But the answer isn't just delete Max.
The game is different. We haven't talked about like how the game is different because there's no Max and Reborn.
Really. Yeah, we definitely have. We can revisit it and expand on it. Right now we have more information.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we talked about it like at the change, but we hadn't played a game. I feel.
No. Well, okay, maybe I'm misremembering, but I seem to remember at least one podcast where we talked the post Max.
But that was like 2 days after or something.
Sure, whatever. We could talk about it more. That's not, like it's fun to talk about the experience we have in the game, right? Like that's the whole that's what the whole podcast is about. We choose what we talk about. So
is it
if we want to talk a bit about that, we can.
I wasn't aware. All right, let's actually get on track.
Go.
Hello, you were listening into the pre-show. Sometimes me and Shady talk before the streams, and I'm already done with the topics, which isn't normally the case. So I figured, let's just.
This usually happens where Collins is talking. It's like, don't distract me, Shady.
Yeah.
Or Collins is working. And I'm talking. It's like, don't
guys, I need to finish the topics. Come on, Shady. I agree. But
these topics don't make themselves.
They really don't, sadly. And I need to set up a system where they do make themselves. Maybe I'll have a slide that says topic 1, and then next slide. Topic 2, and I just reuse that, instead of having pictures and everything and all that extra work, just have a topic 1. Yeah, but I need to restart. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 52nd episode of the HSBG podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins. I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny Shady. How you doing?
I'm good, Collins. I'm good. How are you?
I don't know. I'm all right. Oh man, I had an emote, but oh man, maybe actually I can find it.
An emote that you put on the slides, or
no. Someone else asked me, and this was my response. Only Twitch Cat can see this. That's kind of how I feel.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel it. It really encapsulates the emotions of today.
You suppose.
Yes, that is. But moving on. First topic of the day, we got our Battlegrounds weekly overview. Is that really the first topic? I feel like the second. We should first address the that I missed last episode. First topic is we weren't here last week, and that is my fault because I didn't want to talk about the tournament. Basically, I wasn't up to it. Wasn't in the right mental. Not ready to. I wasn't ready to torture myself yesterday. I mean, last week. This week, I'm still not really ready, but you know, I'm not. I'm gonna move on. You know, it's not as painful, so it's perfectly fine. So, just want to say, my fault. We missed last week. Just didn't really feel like doing it. I can do that because I don't have sponsors or anything. No one's forcing me to do that.
Yeah, I tried, guys, but
He did try. He did
fair.
try to get me on to talk about
Like,
anything.
talk about it, man. Come on,
Yeah,
let's talk
but
about other shit.
it's not how my brain works. If I get on this podcast, I'll be like, why aren't we talking about the tournament? I just like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. I would be arguing with myself, like, and then I'll do it.
You're gonna bait yourself into talking about it.
I will. Yes, exactly. I would do it, and then I'll just be like disappointed. I'll be like, oh, why did I do it? So I just know how I work, and I didn't want to do it last.
That's fair, man. That's fair. And I mean, in some regard, there's some overlap there where obviously I don't know exactly how you feel right after a tournament, but you know, we're both pretty competitive and we can both be a little hard on ourselves. So it's yeah.
I'm
It's
more
definitely not that
competitive.
you do for it.
No,
Wait, sorry, what?
I was like, I'm more competitive.
That is probably true right now. Yeah, I think you are. I think at some point I would have challenged you for that. You know, being competitive about who's more competitive. But I think right now
That's
I'm
right.
okay giving that. Right now I'm okay
so
giving
trolling. But fair.
All right.
But moving on from that, sorry about that. Battlegrounds weekly overview, kind of. How was the week? My week. Yeah. Once again, that emote perfectly encapsulates how I
Had
feel.
a week, I guess. Yeah.
Actually, I was doing okay, but the last 3 days or like 4 days, I kind of lost a couple of MMRs. I'm trying to recover, but I realized the difference is that I'm playing like camera and the light on, and the light distracts me, and I'm playing slightly worse. But like it compounds on itself. Maybe I just turn that light off. You know, like my eyes are pretty sensitive to light on. It's like random, but like anytime I turn this light on, yeah, like I can always tell like it's gonna feel bad after a while.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. And I mean, at the risk of asking the obvious question, why do you have the light on?
Oh, because if I don't have it on, it's dark as hell and no one can see. So
But
usually
you play a lot better.
Yeah. So usually it's like when the camera's on.
Sure.
These days, sometimes I play without it and it's fine.
So you feel like you have to put the light on when you put the camera on.
Well, there's a noticeable difference, you know. And then the problem is I get comments. That's the thing. Like, oh, I can't see Collins today. Like, it's like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, you get to choose what you'd rather have, right? You get to
I know,
comments, or you get to play worse.
It's not enough where it's like I'll never play with light. You know, it's not enough, but it's like noticeable over time. You know, You know, you can tell. At least I can tell. But it's not. Sure. It's not like, oh my god, he's playing 50% slower because he's trying. It's not. It's nothing like that. You know. But I mean, over time, over games, there'll be like a turn. I'll be like 3 seconds slower, and that might be like, oh, I forgot to play something at the end or something like that. And that might be a difference between a play.
Well, I mean, if that's whether that's genuinely light or even just like a placebo effect, I don't care. Like for me, that would be enough to say like I don't care.
So sometimes, you know, I'm just chilling, but like, you know, sometimes it's like let me turn the camera on.
Not that important, I guess, but
it depends. Okay, so it's because there's like 2 weeks till the qualification, so I have time. Yeah. Like if I need to climb, I'll just grind it, right? Like
light out, shut up, chat.
Yeah. You know, I might not even stream, you know, that kind of thing, right? Just grind it through. But like since it's a whiles away, there's like my MMR doesn't matter right now. Like it feels good to be high.
I mean, it can only go up, right?
Well, I mean
I feel you know.
It's
Yeah,
not that important. Like I can fix it if I need to, essentially.
yeah, we got a
So
different mindset on that one for sure. But
yes,
if I have it locked in, I'm happy, man. That's fair. I'd rather have it locked in early.
sure, but playing more games is like good for practice and well. There's other.
If only there was a way to practice without losing the MMR you had locked in. We just haven't fixed. We haven't gotten that technology yet, right?
I see what you're saying. I understand the sarcasm, but there's a real difference between playing on an account that matters and not. At least for me, I play
You mean
differently.
you mean you can't force you? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's
That's not
fair. I have
my brain doesn't work where I'm like, "Ah,
I have
I
a
need to
very
try to win
easy.
this
Yeah.
game. Like, but it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter to me. Like, I won't try. You know,
Yeah, I think that's I think what I think the easy solution for the next qualification, well, maybe not the next qualification period, but the next ladder reset, I think is to just try hard really hard on two accounts.
yeah. I'm going to do that
Yeah.
actually.
And
Yeah.
and so you'll have your solution there, right?
Yeah.
Your
But
brain will be like,
I'm
oh,
not going. I'm gonna
that's
wait
back.
till it
Sure,
resets.
that's fair. That's well, but you should raise the internal MMR,
It is
right?
already the max. Like,
Okay, cool. Locked in.
of course it is. So
10K. Why would it not be 10K, Shady? What the
yeah.
hell?
So that's the issue.
Peasant account, that's not 10K.
But what were we talking about? Anyways,
We were talking about the light. We got derailed, and we were talking about your weekly overview, and you said it was okay, but you lost some MMR, and then the light was partially at fault, and
yeah.
that
But
got
I
us in this direction.
I've realized that more now, so I'll keep that in mind. You know, like, and it's not like I can't play with the light. Like that's a joke. You know, and all the tournaments are with the light on. You know, because they need to see my
Yeah,
face,
that's
right?
fair.
So
You wanna get
it
good light,
it
right?
might be good practice to just like have it in my face and just like, oh yeah, you're gonna play
That is good practice indeed.
but it's still noticeable. That's the main thing, right? So if I need to like climb, you know, it's light off kind of mentality. That's the thing, you know, but whatever. It's not as big of a deal as this conversation is making it out to be. It's you know, it's like maybe like mine is like 5% or something.
Next time someone hits the chat, be like, "Ooh, the lights on." Damn.
Shut up.
Oh, the lights off. Like, oh, he's getting serious, boy. The lights off.
This is why I didn't want to talk about. Anyways, that's my week. Get up.
Oh man, I'm enjoying this. I missed this for a week. All right. So my week actually, I guess if we take last Sunday in this week, which I guess is whatever because that's less than a week ago, I did like a really nice sprint because I had I dipped.
I saw. I'm always checking for some reason.
Oh, right. I guess I was. Yeah, I don't check that, but
I'm always checking. Like, oh, Shady's doing pretty good.
So I qualified, right, and then I think I went through. I don't even know what it was. Like maybe it was like some bad sleep and then like lack of focus. I just it's one of those things where you look up and be like, oh damn, I'm down 300 for the day, and I didn't even realize, right? You kind of just go on autopilot.
That's not me these days. I'm like, ooh, I lost a game. Oh, I'm already tilted. Ooh, I lost two. I'm
right,
out.
right. Sure. Yeah, no. Normally, I'm much more aware of it, but it was just over the course of a few days, I was suddenly down like a lot. Right, we're talking.
Right.
I think I'm down like 600 or so
Right,
in the course of a few days. Where I was like, oh
yeah,
shit,
that's my one day.
Right, sure.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, it happens, right? It happens. But so then I went down to 14K, and then I don't know, like either I was just like, all right, let's get back in shape or whatever. Then I was up 500 on Sunday and another 300 on Monday. So I was like, okay, 14.8 again, cool. So I was like,
swinging,
all right,
boys.
yeah. But I mean, we play somewhat similar. We obviously have our differences, but our philosophy is pretty similar to. If I can go to 6 with a brand and make a board full of amalgadons, I'm going to do it. So that tends to be a pretty swingy play style, where if it doesn't work out, it's a bit more likely that you're going to just tank, right, and go down. we're not really the Edwin enjoyers. Excuse me.
Yeah. I
That are
just
just
try
sitting
not
on
to
PS4
tank. That's
right. Yeah. We obviously we're pretty trained in the oh shit, it's not going well. Let's monk a steer into a top
right,
four or whatever.
right,
But that's not always possible.
right.
So yeah. Anyways, then unfortunately, my week after that hasn't been great. Where I haven't played on my main account just because I've been so incredibly sleep deprived for a few days now. And today was the first day that my sleep was a bit better. Where I feel like maybe tomorrow I can play again. But it was so bad, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna try. I was like down 500 on an A or whatever. It's just like I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna try anymore.
I saw the end of that. That's all.
Oh
This is
wait, today or
today. Just the
yeah. So
last game.
today's fine, right? Today I played on my EU Smurf and I dunked people, right? It was like tons of firsts, tons of firsts. So it was like, okay, cool, right? I might be almost good to go again, but it's just crazy how much difference it makes whether
Yeah,
you've slept or not.
yeah. And
It's just it's the best I can describe it. It's like this when I've done everything right, right? Like my food is good and my sleep is good. I've exercised and all that. It's like you have this bright light that's just there and it's working and it's shining and you're like, okay, I see all the plays. We're going, and
yeah,
it's not a conscious effort to be like, okay, of course I sell this minion, I buy this minion,
yeah,
of course we level here, this and that.
yeah.
And when you're not doing it, you can just stare at a board and be like,
What do I do? Yeah,
ah!
you're just staring. You're like, I have no idea what to do. And like,
Yeah,
the
you're
play
just
is
like
obvious, and you're
brain,
just like, I don't know. Is that right?
just like
It's just.
brain, do Hearthstone. Come on, brain. Come on, brain.
You're
And the
just.
brain's like, I don't know what you want, man. I'm not working like this. So yeah. Anyways, so a rough week with a great start, and now hopefully a great ending. But the middle of the week was pretty rough for me. Just lots of not sleeping. All right.
Scary stuff.
So
All right. Moving on. There's one thing I wanted to. I forgot I put this in yesterday, but yeah. I'm going. Oh wait, that's not right. Going to the Houston finals in the League of Legends finals, April 23rd to 24th. I'm going there. So if you're going there too, you can send me a message. Maybe we'll say hello or something. I thought it was fun. I don't usually go outside, so I figured I would mention it. It's like somewhere near. It's drivable distance, and I do watch LCS. I don't know. You're in Europe, so you don't care about that. But the finals are near me, so I'm good. So I thought that would be fun to do. But if you do like League, I assume other esports kind of stuff, it's pretty fun. I haven't been to a finals or anything like that. Though they had one before, but I was like too noob to even realize I could just go at the time.
right, yeah.
I was a youngin. We're even more.
It is really cool, right? And I feel if you're not really into sports and you're just like, why do these people like go to a stadium to like watch football or whatever? And then you see like a game that you really love or you just admire people doing well in it. Like, oh, I get it now. I get it
I
now. I
don't
gotta go play.
understand sports. I don't get it. I'm going to this
Yeah,
one.
but you can still understand where because people go out to the like this event like mid-season finals, you can understand why other people would go out to a stadium to watch other people, play football or whatever.
What? Why would they play? Why would you watch people play football?
All right, Colin.
I don't get it. Anyways, I'll
Like,
be there probably. Take care of yourselves and all that stuff. Stay safe. Shower, please. I mean, you just have to tell them. It's just like, come on.
that's a great tip, man. Yeah. Can't go wrong with a shower.
Moving on to here we go. Time to torture myself. We've got the Lobby Legends results. I don't know. Do you want to start this? Because I don't really feel like talking about it, but go for it.
Well, okay. I want to start it off with the same thing I typed in chat, right? When you were headed off. So Collins qualified for the qualifier by being in the top 16 of the North American ladder or the Americas ladder. Then after that came on top in a 48 or came out on top on a 48 player qualifier where the 16 highest ranked of all the three regions came together and did a tournament. So he was in the top 12 of that. Then there is a top 16 where you have those 12 people plus the 4 representative from China who then play in the first day of the Lobby Legends finals, where he then makes it again and gets to the top 8. And then in the top 8, he doesn't do too well. So while
I threw
on one,
the problem.
no,
okay,
I agree. I agree.
Wow,
I agree.
Thank you.
But at the same time, right? I on one hand completely understand that at that point you're really disappointed that you didn't do as well as you could. But I do have to put it out there just how far you came with the very first one, by the way. That's the very first edition.
I wanted to
And
win that first one. Like,
I
and I was right
understand.
there.
Okay,
Like,
but
it's in my
everyone is
hands,
good.
and I just do it.
Everyone's good, right? Yeah, but no, I understand to a degree, right, where you're very disappointed and mad at yourself, etc. But I just need to put it out there, right, for the viewers also to understand where it's like, oh, Collins lost the turn. It's like, no, he made it into the top 8 of like God knows how many people that tried to qualify through ladder into the top 48, into the top 16, into the top 8. So that is quite the circuit or path, right, that you've already gone through.
Yes, but the fact that it is difficult means it's so disappointing to actually lose, because you don't know if you're getting there again, right? You like, to be fair,
Sure.
like you get all these comments like, oh yeah, you'll do well next time. We don't know if we're making it next time. You still have to qualify. You still have to make it into the finals, into the top 8. It's quite a difficult endeavor. So just
that's in the back of your mind where you're like, what if I don't qualify again? What if I don't qualify?
Yeah.
Again?
I mean, it's unreasonable to just assume you would. If that makes sense.
At some point, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that at some point, but yeah, to say, oh, I'll be in every Lobby Legends from now on, yeah, that's probably a bit much.
Yeah, so it's just it is difficult, right? And the people that are encouraging me are like, I don't know how difficult it is. It's just probably like some amount, just some dice amount of difficulty. Like, yeah. I was just like, no, it's quite hard, dude. So. And I was in a position where I could have performed a lot better, right? And I did make some mistakes, right? Those first 2 games, and honestly, like those first 2, right? It's very hard to I've realized the difficulty of being 8th in the first round. Like it sucks because you're just sitting there for like 20 minutes afterwards, just like, I threw, didn't I? Yeah. And you're just like wallowing where the person who gets first is like, oh, I won. Into the next game. Oh, okay. Right there, like they're still focused on playing the game, right? They're still in that mentality where, like, if you're 8th, like you're like way out of there, right? You're just like kind of sitting there because you can't like watch other people or your opponents play or anything like that, right? So you're just kind of just like,
You're not allowed to spectate them? Or?
I don't think we were. I didn't, but I wasn't sure, right? Maybe I could have asked, but I don't think.
Make sure to verify that for the next one, then. But yeah.
Well, no. Next time I'm not going 8th. I don't even need that. I don't need to ask. No. I'm not asking.
Every single lobby, right?
Yeah, that's my new plan. That's my new plan, Shady. So I'm not.
Just first every single time.
I'm
okay, yeah, that's fair.
I'm not.
Yeah,
asking.
well, the spectating thing will be an issue then. That's a problem thing.
So it's just a little disappointing because I'm pretty sure every single player in there wanted to win, right? So there's definitely competition, and also like I definitely learned some things for if I do make it to another one. Like my game plan will definitely change due to this. So there are some strategies I have learned from this in terms of this level of competition. Keep in mind, but
so is there anything specific about the games you want to talk about, or is it more just like
I'm not? I'll tell you. But I won't. I'm not sharing it.
No, well, I'm not saying like, well, I learned that I did this wrong, and specifically, I will do this better next time. I'm just more like, is there? So I guess what I remember is just like the Omo game, but did it just more feel like you were just suddenly there and you had no other options? It was like, oh crap, I leveled and I just didn't hit anything.
No, I could have played that Omo game differently.
All right, sure, that's fair.
Even though, every game I could have played.
Every game,
even the one game I won, I didn't play that well. I was out of it, dude. I just got like somewhat lucky, like in that one game where I was just like, okay, I got what I needed to really dominate.
You popped off.
Yeah, I popped off. Yeah, but then, like kind of a bailout there, and especially like that last game was dude. Every game I see, that's my problem. I feel like I threw every game, every single game I played. I don't think I played it as well as I could have, and that just feels bad if you come out of a tournament and you're just like, I'm not happy with any of my games. And that's kind of how I
Yeah,
felt.
that's fair. It's a really really tricky thing to, I guess, reason yourself through and to have a good framework because once again, I don't want to say like, oh, I know exactly how you feel,
Right.
right? But I feel like there's definitely some
I mean,
overlap.
you understand. Like, don't
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have to use that caveat. You understand. I feel.
Sure, sure. And something that I need to be careful of because I too have the feeling if I didn't win, I threw. Right. Well, maybe not always. Right. Sometimes you just play really well, and you're like, oh, that was a really good fourth place. Right.
You
This
see,
was top
but
eight.
the
You
games
know.
from yesterday, I didn't have that problem. Like, like even though I didn't win a lot of I mean, the day before, I didn't win every game, right? But I
Yeah.
did feel like I tried it. I definitely tried and played a lot better that day. I don't know if
Mm.
it's like the like having double day in a row of like really intense and like having to make sure you're like the same mentality for the next day. But like definitely that first day, I really felt that I was playing well. I was happy with my games. This day, I was not, right? And I do think that that first eighth definitely changed maybe how I approach things because I was noticing I was like somewhat scared in some of my decision making, which is like
Right.
this
Yeah.
disastrous. You never want that, But like I was like, oh, that's unusual or a bit weird. But it's definitely that first eight like really meandering into the rest of the games, and that's kind of the issue.
We've talked about this before for sure, where the curling up into a ball reaction never works.
Yeah, I know,
Right?
I know.
The people that at that level, they're too good at breaking that defensive posture. They don't like you stay on four and you're rolling, that's cute, right? Like if your comp really, really allows for it, like you're playing ground shaker with deflectos and with gem splitters, sure, right? That's a comp that thrives on tier four. You can stay there, you can do stuff. But if you just have some random ass, I guess I'm gonna roll for some jugs and smoggers, like you're dead, right? It's not gonna happen because someone's gonna come out of the blue and smack you for 25 with some amalgadons or whatever. You need to take some risk, you need to take some chances. So that is definitely something that happens where you get a bad game and you start thinking, well, I guess I have to take a 3 here, or I have to take a 4 here. It's like whereas a Collins that is fully fresh be like, that's a 6 every time. I am the smacker. I will be the one that's smacking them for 25.
it's so different if you have the wrong mentality, especially in these type
Yeah.
of tournaments.
For sure, man, for
It's
sure.
not the way.
I feel like I was going there with something at some point, but I got sidetracked. So that's fine.
So
We'll
we
get back
do.
on to it.
We
That's what
sidetrack
we
this.
do. This entire podcast is just sidetracking here and there. So
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's okay, but definitely not happy with it. Didn't really want to relive it. So I haven't like watched it the VODs or anything like that. Just like
yeah,
let it sit there. Like the day after, dude, I was playing over the games in my mind, just like not happy. It was not a good time. Yeah, just not a good time to be me. But I don't know. I've gotten like it's farther away, right? So I've kind of moved on a
yeah.
little bit more. But so it's easier to talk about it. But yeah, definitely learned some things that I will be trying to use if I make it to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cliche, man, but like you give it time, and it always gets better with some time, right?
Or it gets worse. They never tell you
Or it
that.
gets.
They never tell you that. It
I
jams
guess what
into
I
your
what I
head
wanted to
and
mention, right? It's that balance of approaching it where you say, "Oh, I didn't win, so I must have played it poorly."
right.
But I try to counteract that with saying like I am playing very strong opponents, and it's almost too egotistical to say I lose because I played poorly, where you have to give them credit where they played really well and they put me in really bad
Yeah.
positions that potentially caused me to misplay.
Maybe the first game, but not like the last three games, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
thing.
no, for sure, for sure. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's good to have that balance to at least not automatically assume that, oh, I should be winning the majority of my games because I'm so good and this and that, and just like, well, these people are also very, very strong players, and sometimes they're just going to play better than I am, or they're gonna have like they're gonna play as well, but they're just gonna be a little luckier, and they're gonna take that, and there's not that much I could have done about it.
I mean, if
But
that
I definitely
happens,
feel
then
you,
then
right?
I wouldn't feel bad about the loss. Like if I feel like if I played day one, day two,
if you felt like you played really well,
then
you're
I
like,
wouldn't be
okay,
that disappointed. But the issue is this, that I know I didn't play
for
to my
whatever
ability.
reason you just weren't on your A game there.
I mean, I know the reasons. There's a couple of them, right? Like, but yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna get this whole post podcast debrief on this is how you approach competitive play, Shady. It's good.
Maybe as we get closer to the call.
Oh, okay, sure.
I don't know if I want to do it like immediately after this.
No. I was mainly just teasing you. So
okay. Oh, you're. I'm like, well, I have some things to share.
Colin's like, well, I mean, I wasn't gonna, lay out the secret code just straight away, but I guess we could. All right, let's get on to the next slide.
All right, good. We can move on from this. Feels good, man. Anyways, yes, right. It's been 2 weeks, so there's been changes to the game in that 2 weeks.
There have been changes to the game.
Rare for Blizzard, but it's not that rare. They make changes pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty 2-weeky, I would say. And here we go. They added a new hero in Storm Coil. Any thoughts about this hero? Tier 2 buddy mech for after you plan mech game +2/+2. I don't think it's gonna be that good, personally.
She came.
Initially, I actually didn't think it was gonna be that good. Actually, let me be honest. Like when it was revealed, I was like,
right.
This passive is like you have to kill 9 minions. That's so many. Like how it's gonna be so slow. How is this gonna work? It's like whatever.
So yeah, for those of you who maybe haven't played as much or at all in the past 2 weeks, Ini was released, and I think she was the highest win rate hero we have ever seen, which is saying a lot, because
that's a surprising statement, right? Yeah,
it's some broken shit, but it makes a lot of sense because you can't really go wrong, because her hero power gives you more mechs, her buddy gives you a mech that scales if you play more mechs, and you can just roll for more mechs.
Yeah, this is my main issue of making very one-dimensional heroes. Like, it's too hard to throw it because the game's like, hey, you know what you need to do? Buy mechs. You know what I'm going to reward you for doing? Buying mechs. You know what your buddy does? It gives you mechs. It gives you. So it's like you're like a casual player and you're like, I don't know what to do with this hero. And then you're like, oh, it's a mech. Oh, my buddy gets strong. I'm gonna buy a mech. Let me just buy mechs. Oh, I've won the game. Like, it's like too easy to really.
Buster for my hero power. Oh, that's
I got a buster. Oh my god, that's
another
so
one
good.
of these. If I got buster.
And that's really like the main issue of these, like, mech heroes. It's really the mech heroes that really abuse this, right? Like Jiraxis and so, but Jiraxis doesn't do it like mech heroes do, like. Where it's just like, you just
Flurk,
but Fleur, Ysera, right? Those they all get nerfed, essentially, right? Because they don't realize how easy it is to like just do one game plan the whole game, and then you'll be okay. Like, that's if you're a hero that just facilitates that, it's so much easier to play a game out on average compared to the other people trying to like make a new comp every time based on what you get and what you roll in the shop, all that stuff, where it's just like, well, I get a dragon every roll. Oh, I just buy dragons. Oh, if I get these 2 dragons, it's pretty good. I'm pretty strong. Like, that's
I think it's out of the meta.
That's my meta. That's my game plan. I do it every game and it's fine because it works every game. Like, it's like, that's pretty good. Like, maybe we should change that down, right? So it's kind of an issue with these one-dimensional, like, this is the best thing to do with these hero.
The simple line is the good line, basically. Yeah.
And
normally, for the simple line to also be the best line, that feels awkward because you're like, oh, this, I've put all this time and effort into this game, and the person who's maybe, not as experienced is just gonna crush with this hero.
But the thing is, those simple lines always result in the best heroes. Even if you look at the hero stats right now, it's like Innie is still number one. Still at the top. Like, and she was even stronger than this. And then you have Mutinous. I think nowadays people understand how to play the hero, right? You'd say it's simplified, right? But very consistent. Then you have Flurgle actually at number 3, which is pretty semi-surprising, but also not surprising. Like, oh yeah, Flurgle, you just get Murlocs, and Tad really buffed Flurgle, I think, to increase that consistency, because
you have a lot of APM turns these days where it's just too much stuff to do.
Yeah. So, and then you have Millhouse, which is like, I don't know. That one is more of a, like, you have to try. That one I'll give you a pass. And that was not a complicated, simple hero, no. And then you have Daryl and Mukla and stuff like that, right? So a lot of them have like these very strategic and like do it every time strategies that can work really well. So that those type of heroes tend to be more consistent, is what I'm saying. That's kind of something you want to keep in the back of your mind, right, when you're designing heroes. Like, oh, if they have the very obvious game plan, they tend to be pretty strong on average. So doesn't mean they tend to win, but on average, like, you don't get 8th essentially, or you have a less chance of getting 8th because you won't be the person that tries a strategy and falters, like gets a 5 and doesn't hit the 5 and then doesn't know what to do and then falters, right? You usually have like, oh, I can do something, and that will usually prevent you from getting those horrible results. So it's just something for game design. I mean, it's, I'm not here telling you how to design your game, but something to keep in mind when you are making these heroes, to be aware of. Simplistic game styles and tend to be stronger on average because it's harder to falter or mess up on them.
I think some of that is obviously fine because you want to create.
Yeah. You just don't want them to be the strongest in the lobby.
Like, you want it to be viable, but you don't want it to be dominant. That feels bad when the really simple line is the dominant line. That
like playing Tess. Back then.
Yeah,
No, like before, like Tess before, where it's just like, I steal all your broken buddies. And
just like Kolbor or this or that. Or you mean when Friend was in, right?
Yeah, that's stuff like that. I don't know what I'm saying. I just wanted to throw in Tess. I don't actually have a point.
All right, yeah. Really me expecting a point.
Imagine me having a point. Crazy. But so it came out super strong, and then it got nerfed to Tavern 4. What do you think about this change and adjustment?
So at the start, when I heard it was moved to Tavern 4, I was like, wow. I kind of get it. Yeah, I was like, man, they took it out back and like, bam, and get out of here, right? But yeah, it's playable.
It's still good. Playable. Yeah, still strong. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. So obviously in the global stats, it's number 1. I don't think for high MMR it's number 1.
No, it's not. No, it always like gets 4th or 3rd or something. That's usually how it's.
Yeah, unless you have a good game where you actually get to push 6, right, and then you hit Buster.
Murlocs are out.
Even with Murloc's in, right? You can tempo hard enough if you hit the busters early enough, right?
Well, then you have to triple into Buster, basically, essentially.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah. Well, you don't necessarily even need to triple into Buster, but if you can power to 6 and then just roll into it, right? That's some.
You don't even have to. If you power to 6, you just get it from your buddy.
Yeah, I mean that'd be perfect, of course, but we don't always get Buster from the hero power.
That's not how it works. It doesn't summon a random mech from your Tavern tier.
Oh, by the way, the name on the hero power is called MacGyver, which I think is, or MechGyver, which I think is an amazing reference.
I don't even read those, and I don't know the reference either. I mean, I assume the reference is MacGyver, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, there was a series called MacGyver. But I think here it makes a lot of sense because MacGyver is someone who can, so to speak, make a bazooka out of a paperclip, right? Just like really like, you left this lying around. I will now do this and, set this and make a homemade like whatever bomber, what stuff to get
Okay.
out of it. So yeah, it's
This
basically
is
it's a
from
TV show
movies,
about,
right? Or it's a TV show. Okay.
yeah, it's about someone who's incredibly crafty and will get himself out of all kinds of situations with just whatever is lying around.
You know what
And
the craftiest ability of all is?
what
Not
is it
getting
called?
yourself in those situations in the first place.
Where you need to do that. Yeah, I mean that's what the show was about, right? The guy was good at getting out of those situations, or just Anyways, so I thought props to Blizzard. I read that and I was like, yeah, that's fine.
They're really good with the references. Anytime an expansion comes out, oh boy, just all the card
Just gotta read
references
all
is
the
just
flavor text and be like, ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
jam packed in there, and always fun. Always fun to go and be like, oh, this is. But yeah, blah blah blah. Any still
Yeah.
playable, still good.
Yeah, very playable for sure. I think the lower and more you go, the better she is right now. So
That's always
But
with
that's
these type of heroes.
completely viable. It's at the highest level of play viable. So
That's
that's
how
as
to
well.
play yesterday, and it was fine.
Yep.
Moving
It's
on.
a tier 4 buddy now, so you're expected to get it at tier.
Turn
Let's
7.
see, turn 5 is 2, so yeah, turn 7, right? Yeah, so that's by 9 gold. So if you don't have a by 9 gold, you're a little
It's
late.
actually so hard not to get it by 9 gold if you're playing the game. Like the way the tier 3 and 4 buddies work, like you're kind of like forced to get it at that turn if you
You need to
like
lose everything basically.
yeah, you need to throw, or you need to already be dead. You need to be playing Ragnaros.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
rough. That's rough.
That's what
Yeah,
happens.
it is the tier 2 buddies. That's the ones you miss. That's true.
Yeah.
Be like, I didn't get it by turn 5. Good old 99%.
Next turn we got. I mean, another change was the Varden as well, right? That's the other adjustment.
Yeah, with basically a new hero, right? The way it works.
It's crazy how weak it was before and how playable this one is now, right? And it's like, oh, we just changed. We moved it now. It just hits highest target. That's the only difference. It's like, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. It's well, so I think one of the things about Varden, right, that makes it so silly is that, okay, so the rework is that the way how Varden used to work is that you would copy a random minion in the shop and like have it frozen. So both the minion you copy and the original, they would get frozen in the shop, and then your buddy would give them stats equal to the tavern tier. Or sorry, I think your buddy only gave stats to the copy equal of your tavern tier. So we're 2 buffs. The first one now is that
that's true.
Yeah, which is significant,
That
right? Now
is a good point. That's a good point.
So the first change now is that you always copy the highest star unit in the shop, which is extremely relevant because rolling a Hogger and automatically getting the second Hogger is a lot better than probably not copying the Hogger, right? Like getting 2 Hoggers, getting 2 brands, getting 2 nest matrons. Like there's all kinds of crazy shit that can happen. So that's the first layer, right? There's 3 layers to this, right? The second layer is the buddy now also buffs the original copy. So not only do you get a larger second Hogger, your first Hogger is now also an 11/11 at that point.
Yeah, I did that yesterday as well. I did playing both heroes yesterday.
And the third one is that you can actually leave one of the copies frozen in the shop, and there's a really good chance you get the third one the turn after because the shop rerolls the thing you left frozen in there, which was the highest tavern tier, is likely to still be the highest tavern tier, even if it's a tie, it's going to be a coin flip, whichever one it copies.
Yeah.
So that's how yesterday I made like Golden Battlemaster, Golden Brand, Golden Cali.
I had like 8 Callies and I had to skip 2. I was so like, silly. Nah, it's too many Callies.
It's too many.
Doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, you definitely get caught a little bit with VAR to be like, all the things. It's like, okay, I don't need that many things, but all the things. But I think, okay, my brand had 40 attack. And I never buffed it with anything other than my hero power and my buddy.
Pretty good.
Think about that.
Pretty good brand.
My golden brand had 40 attack. And I never buffed it.
To be fair, it's just like my golden brand. Stop the sentence.
Stop the sentence. Well, technically I only ever rolled one brand, but then the hero power made a second one.
That's all you need.
And it made a third one. So he's like, yeah, there we go. I rolled one brand and suddenly I had 3 brands. So yeah, needless to say, there is a lot of shenanigans that you can do with Varden now. Probably not the best hero in the game, but pretty solid. Just can just out of nowhere just explode onto the board and be like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of stats and I've got a bunch of good minions. Deal with it.
Yeah. The one caveat is if you're like doing this like tripling strategy, you don't roll a lot, right? Because like that's 9 gold. So you have to be really confident what you're spending your time on is worth it, right? So brand is great. Any like nest matron, that kind of stuff, like all premium stuff, right? But like sometimes you might like spend your turn like getting, I don't know, like that 6/6 demon, right? And you triple that, you get something on 5, and it's like, yeah, like, I don't know, it's just one big minion, right? You could usually get a big minion, and that's somewhat powerful, but you do just have to be very selective on what you're spending your resources on, because it takes like 2 turns to do that, right? You have to unlock, you have to pause and then wait in the next turn, and you can't like level by.
You have to remember that every single roll, another insane pair might just hit the shop. So you got to be like, okay, that's the one I'm willing to settle on.
Yeah, you kind of have to be selective, but sometimes it's hard, right? Like you see like two 11/11s, you're like, that's pretty good, right? You're just like, but then you need, like, is it good enough, right? And that's maybe the hardest part of playing this hero, just making sure what you're investing in is worth the time.
Yeah, I think for if you were a normal hero and you would see some of the Varden shops, you'd be like, oh, I take that every time.
Yeah, you take that every time. Yeah,
but so Varden, you'd be like, it could be a little better. Yeah. It could be a little better. Yeah, it could be a little better.
Yeah, that's very true. So
just thinking that, I guess one of the best things is if you are already strong enough, just go to 6, because then you get the double Dong, you get the double Kelly, you get the double Eliza, right? You get those.
If you can go to 6, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's completely unfair. You're just copying. I think one of the most disgusting Varden games I had is when I was just rolling seafood chef pairs when I had a brand on the board. I was like, oh, this is so insane.
I was watching Bill, and he was playing. I was like, oh, it's so good watching Bill. He just leveled straight to 6 and rolled. And his first one was like double full Reaper, and I was just like, "You love to see it." Oh my god!
Game's over, right? Yeah,
he just like makes a 40 attack for Reaper. It just like carried him for like all the way, and like till the end of the game. I was just like, "Yeah, that's pretty good." just like,
just another thing is magnetic, right? You can just put huge magnetics on your mix. Where I think I put like 2 modules on my foe Reaper just make it ginormous, or it's so crazy. Yeah. So yeah, TLDR is try the new Varden. It's pretty good and pretty fun. And yeah, probably the most difficult problem to solve is that your shops are going to look too good and you're going to have to pass up some of them.
This is kind of hard to play hero, but it's strong enough that even if you're not like that great, you can still do okay. Like if you just buy everything you see like that just gets buffed, you just have like big stats, and that's like not horrible. Just have big stats.
Yeah, it's like Yogg-ish, right? You just have this random Yogg board, but better.
Yeah, so
like but bigger. Yeah.
So not a bad hero at all. So yeah. Also, Varden and Inni moved from Tower Tier 2 to Tower Tier 1, so they lose 2 to 5 armor. Doesn't really matter, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys need armor.
All right. Then, right. I didn't know what to do. I ran out of topics, but I forgot to tell you that I ran out of topics. Anything you want to talk about?
Well, as a matter of fact, Colin, sure. I'm always down to rant a little bit. So.
Can you tell I reused this?
That's amazing. Yeah.
I reused this scene. I was like, I don't want to make a new one.
Put it up there, no problem.
The one thing I changed the Hydra used to be a Brown's blacksmith, and I'm like, that's not right.
Right. Yeah. No. That's a while back. No, I get it. Yeah, that card. That was quite the experience. So I guess the way to preface this is that I hmm, I guess it's hard to get started here, but I guess the first thing to say is that I actually quite like the meta, and I think this is more just like me also asking you some questions to get some perspective. Is like, do you like the meta we have right now? Do you think it's somewhat healthy slash balanced?
Wow, that's a question I haven't thought about, which is weird, huh? I like the meta.
I feel like that is a side effect of a good meta if you're not consciously thinking about it. Like, is this a good meta? I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
it's because
playing
I've
the good
been
meta.
like so focused on just like
Yeah,
tournament
like it
play,
doesn't matter whether
climbing.
you like it or
Yeah,
not. You just
yeah, right.
you just need
Well,
to perform.
except for
Yeah.
friend of a friend, you know, I was, I was,
But that
I,
that stood out right there. That stood
yeah.
out for you, right?
But basic, yeah. So I mean, it's not friend of a friend meta, which is always a plus, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and I feel I can play, and I feel like usually whether I like a meta it depends on whether I feel I have options, like where my
Mhm.
decisions matter, and I feel I can turn a game around if things are looking bad. And I do feel like I can do that this meta. So it's up there. I don't think
Yeah, I
it's.
mean, this is not your definitive. Like, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, Collins said you love this meta." So,
The
anyways,
problem with every meta is there's always problems and they never fix it. You know, so like I'm always
yeah.
like, oh, why don't we fix this? And they're like, we don't care. That doesn't give
So,
us
is there anything
resources.
specific in this meta that you say like, well, this kind of sticks out?
The heroes are never balanced. Like this is just
Right.
always the heroes are
Yeah.
never balanced. There's always minions that are like way too good compared to like the rest of them in their tiers. Where I'm just like,
I'm
why?
talking about heroes now, not minions, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, and minions like
And minions, sure.
there are always minions that are like these give you direction, and then the rest of them don't do anything. But 90% of the time, because if you're playing against people that pick the good minions and you're trying to do a alternative strategy, it's just not good enough. So I can't really pick that if I want to play well, you know. And you know, at some points,
Well,
like they
there's
nerf
always
or
going to be something that's best, though, right?
yeah, I know, but like the best is like significantly stronger. Where if you're not playing that, or like a caveat of that, you're like always going to lose, right? Like,
And in this case, that is Murlocs for you, or what's the?
well, in Murloc lobbies, yeah, I would say like because the thing is like there's always going to be heroes that really abuse those strong strategies. Like Flurgo's like number 3 right now, right? If there's a Flurgo in the Murloc lobby and you're trying to win that lobby, it's like got to do something that can deal with 100 stat Murlocs. I have no
Yeah.
chance, right? And it's just like, well, do I play Nomis? No. Do I play Mechs? No. Do I play Mechs? Early game, maybe you can Quillbore scam a
Yomi
Flurgo.
can. I mean, it depends who you are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Okay, so I have to be playing a good hero, right?
yeah,
Like
definitely.
to be even
Right.
afforded the chance to play Nomi, like I have to already be doing okay in the hero selection. You know, can I play Beast against like in late game? Not really, right? There's this, unless it's Perfect Beast, then sure. There's a lot of like comps. If Perfect can beat the Murloc stuff, but like if you're not playing like those heroes that can really afford you to make those type of premium compositions, you have to be like, oh well, I see a 7, well, I have to take it, right? Can't do it. I have to take
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because there's no other way. So that's always weird. Like I'm not saying the meta is bad, but like this is just a thing that permeates pretty much every meta where there's always like things that are broken and like Quillbore meta, Frog meta, demon meta, like the 2 different types of demon meta. Like it's like, oh, I have to play that if I see it, otherwise there's not really a counter that can contest. And that's always happened. I still have a problem with gas curlers hitting you for 50. That's way less of a problem now because it's not
Not
gas
many people
curlers
play
hitting
it.
you for 50. It's people spiking with their buddies hitting you for 50. That's a problem. So the gas curlers kind of fallen off the wayside. But like still, it's still there. Like it's still weird when it happens to you. Like every like 20, 30 games, maybe it'll happen once and you're like, I still don't like it, right? But it's not
The
as
odd coiler death. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not as important or as prominent, I guess is the word that as it used to
common
be.
as well,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So,
not as common.
but still the people spike. I mean, player or hero spikes are also pretty rough, right? Like I fought Guff turn 6 twice yesterday, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm taking 15, and sometimes I'll be like, maybe I'll roll, and I'll play max strength, right? Just to
Like
try,
13
and
instead,
I would
yeah.
like take 13 or something, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not worth it at all. It's like
Pretty good level.
I'm now behind, just to take 2 less damage, it's like not the worth. And sometimes you still just take the 15, right? So, but I don't know how you adjust that, right? With the buddy system, I don't know how because like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, if you change that, like just Guff becomes maybe unplayable, right? But I would rather Guff be playable than Guff not playable at all, right? Like the more heroes that are relevant, the better as a player, because it gives you more options in the hero selection. And losing hero selection is maybe my least favorite aspect of the game when the meta is in that like is very centric around the heroes and stuff like that. When you see your hero selection, you're like, it'd be hard not to go 8th. Like it's gonna be a real challenge, not to go 8th. Like that's
right now, right? Yeah, you have a lot of things that are playable.
yeah. So yeah, right now I don't think that's necessarily the case, right? Sometimes you get like you still get those odd 4 heroes of like, oh my god, there's nothing I can do. But a lot of times there's a lot of heroes where it's like, okay, I can at least like make a top 4 comp, right? Like that's the thing. You like, it's not like every hero can win, but like a lot of heroes can like meander into a top 4 if you know what you're doing with the hero. Like even Cthulhu, like I never played Cthulhu, right? But like if I really wanted to top 4, you could play Cthulhu into a top 4 if you wanted to. I just not doing it. I'd rather get an 8 trying to win. But those are like some of the you asked me for some examples.
Yeah, no, sure. That's and I think it's also important to indeed line up that it's not because something feels bad and that we don't like it that we necessarily have an answer for it, or that we even recognize that this has to go, right? So I think that's indeed good to say that the because I
The
think
Guff
this is a very
example, yeah.
yeah, a very common complaint in this meta is I'm fighting X hero on X turn, therefore
Yeah.
I'm taking 15 damage.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good at all. But indeed, after introducing buddies, you're just going to create such diverse power spikes where different heroes get their buddies at different times, and some buddies they really push you towards like value or tempo or this and that. And like Guff is a very tempo oriented buddy where you get it on that turn. So for those of you who don't know, Guff gets his buddy on 9 gold most of the time, or 8 gold.
8 gold,
Yeah, 8
8
gold.
gold,
I think.
and
Yeah,
then
8 gold. And then see, normally, well, a lot of the time people go to tier 4 on 8 gold, and Guff is not going to go to tier 4 because he gets a 5 drop and a 6 drop and a 4 drop that you can buy in the shop. So he gets so many stars on his board, and a lot of it is not going to die. So very often on the turn where you go to tier 4 on 8 gold, you fight a Guff and you're taking 15 damage, and it feels really bad. And you have other examples in Maiev on 9 gold who's going to get 2 6 drops because now the buddy increased the number of 6 drops by 1. Yasharaj, when he gets the buddy, he just gets stupid high tempo on the board. Sorg, right after
but I don't
buddy,
know if you can like do something about it, right? Like you just have to take the 15 and be like, I got lucky, because you don't want to remove more playable heroes, right? Like if they didn't have this feature, they would just not be playable. Like maybe not Maiev, like Maiev, fine, but like a lot of the other heroes, like they just wouldn't be playable. And at least you have that like 15 cap. Imagine if there's no cap, you're just like, well, you could take 24
then
here.
you'd have a real problem.
Yeah, then I would be complaining, like real, like for sure. Yeah, but at least there's a cap where you're like, okay, I mean, it's only 15. It's only half my life. It's fine. Like,
I usually jokingly say that when I take 10 from a 5 drop that lives on 1 health, close combat, lose a quarter of my life.
dude, the worst is when I lose like a 13%er and I take 15. Like, Like, come on, I lost at
I wasn't even
13%.
supposed to lose this, and I'm taking max damage.
Yeah, and it ruins your game because now, I could have been at like 26 instead of 11, and now I have to play differently.
Now we gotta stay on tier 5.
Yeah, now I gotta stay on. Yeah, it's so different. It's such a. And then like the next person you fight is weaker than the other guy that you fight. It's just like, oh my god.
That's always so King W, where you fight someone 2 turns later, you're like, you're still weaker than a person that dealt 15 to me. Absolutely.
So true.
So I guess what we've covered so far is like buddy spike timings, right? They're not so much fun, and just I guess in general the good thing, right, is and something that might justify the spike damage is that maybe not more than ever, but at least more than a lot of the time, you have a lot of viable heroes. There's not too many different hero packs at the start of the game where I'm like, well, I can't play anything here. It still happens, of course, where you say, oh, nothing here. Especially specifically when mechs are out and you get a lot of mechy heroes in your like Sarfang, Edwin.
Oh yeah. When mechs are out, it hurts so much. Like in terms of like stabilizing and getting like a top 4 hero, no mechs. Like I can't play I can't play any of these heroes now. Like, it's quite true.
So yeah, that still happens, but less than before, right? So that is good. I guess where I was taking this at the start with the question of where we like the meta or not is that I think that's a good framework to go from, right? It's a good baseline to go from, where because I think the meta is actually pretty good, and it seems like you agree to in a certain extent at least, right? We have some playable heroes, and it feels like your decisions matter. I think that is indeed a really good mark where you have some metas where you say my decisions matter a lot less this game because I had to roll for a Doomsayer, or I had to roll for, I guess in your case, friend of a friend or whatnot. Although I thought friend was kind of
get me out of here. Where's my emote? I still have it.
Yeah. So my the point here, right, is that I've just noticed that there's a lot of well, first of all, no matter what meta you have, it's almost always the worst meta ever, and there's always a lot of things, but I can't believe they haven't changed this yet. So that's the public opinion. There's always something to complain about, and it's like, oh, this is terrible. So especially on Reddit and just in general when I visit various Twitch chats, seems to be this opinion of, oh well, poison is just awful for the game, and 7 is just way too strong, and this and that. So I want to start off to say that I'm not taking a stance on a hill here where I'm saying like, oh, the game is perfect the way it is right now, and you guys know what you're talking about. But I do want to say that it's
we're going to pretend that is the stance he's taking.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We're gonna pretend
it's a lot easier, right, to reply then. But the like, I want to see like what causes this. So is it a little silly that when you are playing in a Murloc lobby that people are really racing to 7 and that poison is so prevalent? And like, yeah, okay, I'm absolutely willing to make that consensus that it is a little silly, right? There's a lot of strategies in Murloc lobbies that you're just not going to pursue, or at least not pursue in as much depth, right? At some point, you're going to scale your units and you're going to say, this is big enough. I don't want them to be bigger because I already cover their stats, and I'm going to get poisoned anyway. So I need to work on not getting poisoned, right? I need to get my Nadina, or I need to get my Selfless, or this or that. So I agree that feels bad from the player's point of view that has been scaling, and that, let's say you have 2 Caligos and you're just saying like, oh, I got to stop buying battle cries because it doesn't really matter anymore. I'm just going to get poisoned anyway. Adding more health to my units doesn't do much.
Yeah, but you've made me think of something. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if I'm gonna like detract from your speech.
Oh, you most definitely will, but throw it out anyway.
I'm okay. Good. So I think the main issue, like from others, is like it's very weird that the game completely functions around the introduction of one minion type. Like, oh, this minion type's in. Oh, I gotta do. My whole plan, if this is completely adjusted around this one minion type. But the problem is, if you did adjust that minion type, the whole game changes fundamentally as well, right? If you removed SI7 or something, like the whole game changes. And I don't think it changes for the better. But the thing is, people are looking for like that perfect scenario of like, oh, all the minion types are balanced around each other. You can do any comp as long as you play it correctly. But like that's really not how humans design things. That's going like trying to look for like the perfect balance is not really where we're at. And currently right now, like Poison and Seven, not Seven in its current form, but Poison in its form needs to be in the game to balance some of the other like aspects of the game with the high scaling and the big cleaves and the heroes that really just function well around having these huge stats, and you can't really contest unless you had some type of spore or poison facility. So it's kind of like people want to create this perfect game scenario where everything's balanced and works well together to function to this beautiful like chorus of like strategy, decision making, everything works, and I want to go Murlocs, I want to go Cobras this game, let me do this.
I'll just play my Cobras so good that I'll beat the Murloc player.
Yeah, and they want that to be a reality of something you can do, but right now that doesn't really work, where it's like, if you have good Murlocs with poison, you can always kill a Cobra player like every time. Like you always beat the Cobras because they just like have this big duo, and you just like, what poison kills that and kill yours and kill that, and you only have like 50 attack while I have 120 health, and you can't kill me, so I always win, right? That kind of thing, right? But they're looking for that like perfect scenario of balance, but that's so impossible to achieve and hard to do, and people that are complaining about all this poison, right? They're not really thinking about the aspects of if poisons are out, how does that fundamentally change everything? Where it's like, no, I have to do this, and the boards that end up winning are like these gigantic 400 master realities, and I just like, I just kill you with this 400 master reality, and you don't have an answer. I can't kill this realities. That's just the only card I need to kill you, right? So, it's just that's what it seems to me as you're talking about, like, this is kind of where the complaints are coming for, what they're looking to create, and how unachievable it is to kind of create that kind of game in this day and age with human designers and that kind of thing. It's happening. Anyways, sorry to sidetrack.
No, it's good. I'm trying to like incorporate that, right? Where no, I think it's a good observation indeed. And there's another layer to this, and where some things are gonna feel better in high MMR than in lower MMR, right? Where I can see that if you are playing at our level, your brain will automatically look at the lobby and be like, okay, it's a Murloc lobby. I'm not going to over invest into this minion, or I'm going to get a shield, or I'm going to get the cleave, or I'm going to do something.
It was so I was playing a game yesterday, and I was like Mukla or something, I think. And I made, it was a Murloc lobby. I made like a big trickster and taunted it. And I was getting comments like, why are you going for trickster? The Murlocs are in. I'm just like, that doesn't mean I can't make a huge trickster and win.
Yeah,
I won the game. Like, and I'm just like, just because Murlocs are in doesn't mean I can't go trickster. Like, I can still do the things. You just have to be aware that, I can't really fully invest into a trickster strategy. I just have to do other things, It's just like, it's so locked in, like, Murlocs are in, I can't play anything. Like, I just have to go Murlocs. Force Murlocs. Like, that's the only strategy. It's like, no,
I think
it's not that
simplistic. We don't even need to do this like super structured, because I feel like that's a good point you throw up there. Or throw out there. That might be part of the frustration, where if you think that you can only play Murlocs in a Murloc lobby, yes, it's going to be easier. And that is maybe part of my frustration with no Murloc lobbies. Maybe I'm just not very good at them, and I don't understand how to play them to the maximum efficiency yet. And it's just like, somebody got bigger than me, I guess I'm screwed. Because that is where it all comes down to, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. Where I actually prefer Murloc lobbies to no Murloc lobbies.
And I don't care.
I really, really do. I really. So for me, it's a huge deal.
There are some days I like no Murlocs. Just give me like double Cali. just win like that.
Yeah, and I think that is, maybe that's just part of, and that's why I said it's a big deal that your mindset, right? Like my mindset is probably not good going into those lobbies, so I might not understand them. well enough and therefore get frustrated where I see, oh, this person's bigger than me, there's nothing I can do versus them. But that's the basic argument that I have. Where so the counter argument that people throw out is like, well, in Murloc lobbies, people are just gonna like race to poison. But I'm saying like, yes, but you can counter someone's board of huge Murlocs with here you go, poison Murlocs. You can use poison Murlocs to beat 50 health.
Yeah, but then
health,
like the another annoying thing about that is like if both players are playing well, the game becomes a coin flip. And that just feels bad to me. Where like I'm just like,
but a big part of that is Prester, right? So that's something we want to.
But no one. I mean, dragons aren't going to be in every game, and then you're also not going to have Amalgadons in every game.
But what's the coin flip then?
Like, well, okay, yes, okay. I'm saying like
is a very obvious coin flip. I go first.
Yeah. Okay, but also like Selfless Baron, and then like just poison. Things, right? Like it's like, oh, who's poison, like who's Amalgadon Spore hits the bubble.
That's pretty. You're talking top 2, top 3
already. Yeah, I am. I know, but like winning the game off a coin flip feels weird to me. I don't know about you, but like I always find that weird when it's like it's top 1, top 2, and it's like 50-50 to win. And
for me, it rarely feels like it'll be a coin flip, because usually you'll have someone who's doing better. Let's say it is a Murloc lobby, and you have someone who's doing better. They generally will have a higher amount of Amalgadons, and it will be in their favor because they'll have spores and they'll have more shields from the get-go. And the player that doesn't have the dongs will have to run a ghoul, which hurts their odds. So
yes, but if I was saying like if both players are well, they just both have Amalgadons and they both have spores, and like it's whoever's spore. I've played a lot of those games where it's just like they just have like whoever's spore. Whoever's
we're both doing about as well.
Yeah, so I know.
Isn't that fair? Then it's going to be a coin flip if you're both doing about as well.
I find it dumb though. I just find it dumb where it's just like, oh, he's just poison.
This player is doing about as well as I am. I just why is it 50-50? I hate it.
Okay, it's not really that the player is doing about as well as I am. Okay, this is my board.
Yeah,
right?
no,
I have.
If I may, you want to have an option to do a lot better than them, and that option might not be there.
I am doing a lot better, but they're doing just as well because they have poison. I have like 100 health Amalgadon.
My numbers are larger than your numbers.
130 Murlocs, and they have like a 2/6 SI fin, a 6/9 Amalgadon with spores. Divine Shield, and a bunch of 3/2 Murlocs, and they're just as strong as me.
Okay, so I have so much to reply to, right? First of all, if those numbers are that low, play one fucking gas coiler and you win, right? Like, period. Like, so that's on you for not.
They have an 11 health Murloc, whatever.
No. You don't. So if the numbers are significantly low, run a Foe Reaper and buff it. Run a Reborn gas coiler. Do something.
I didn't know they were switching to Murlocs that one turn. Come on, I didn't know. Like, I can't just like, oh yeah.
All right, whatever.
Gonna assume they're gonna have.
Gonna put that out there. The other part is that I feel like you're saying I'm doing this thing that doesn't matter, and I feel like I should be rewarded for it.
Yes!
And my minions are huge.
Why aren't it does matter in every matchup, but that one. Like, that's the problem. Every other matchup matters, but he switched to Murlocs this last turn. No. Now he deserves to win. I mean, I guess he does.
You can make the same argument where you are fighting an Omega Buster comp with a lot of tokens, and you have ginormous attack on your minions. It's like, why does my ginormous attack not matter? I'm just attacking.
Why does it indulge in every lobby? I agree. Like that's
yeah, right. So it's, I think that identifying what matters and then executing what matters, like that is a perfect comp.
I couldn't do anything more, I have the Selfless, I have the Baron, the comp's done. There's no pressure in the game, so let's ignore that, I'm done, but he did the same thing, and now it's a coin flip, but he deserves to lose.
So if dragons are out, that's a very specific one, right? Where you have no pressure, well, first, like, I just want to call that out, like that is, I think,
pressure needs to be gone. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Like, pressure.
Say again?
Pressure removed. I've been asking for that since it was in the game. Even before, like it's immediately is in the game. I was like,
this card is dumb. Yeah. We've said that since release, pretty much since Pressure was released. We just haven't really hammered on it, but we'll just say it again, right? Prester's Pyrus problem makes for very, like, if you play anything Divine Shield related, get wrecked, right? Like, it's completely destroyed. I feel with Ghoul in the game, we don't need Prester there, whatever. I do, from occasion, see some Prester defenders that be
we
like,
need
well,
more Wind Fury attacking minions.
Is this specifically Meckrel or what?
Yeah, Meckrel, so I hate that. Remove
Yeah,
Meckrel
Collins
too.
hates Meckrel. Be like, if 50% of the minions had Wind Fury, I'd be okay with that. That card would just be dead, man. It was like,
I'm just saying, like, the Meckrel shenanigans is too stupid to me. I hate it.
But yeah, but for the most part, we have Ghoul, and I do understand that versus some boards, right? You have these boards where you have 2 massive Deflectos and a Meckrel, and then let's say 1 random other shield. You're pretty much ghouling that 1 random shield because
it doesn't matter.
Shield, the deflect. But in half the time, the Deflecto is going to suicide because you played a ghoul. So that's debatable, right? The ghoul's going to do something. I understand that for those particular matchups, people want the Prester to just say like, "No, I will just crush your little mech builds, and you cannot scam me with your resets." But I feel like it's almost like cheating, where you say like, I get frustrated with the Deflector player. I know, I'll use the Prester card. Like, try beating me now. Where it's like you can't lose, right? You just like, you attack the Deflector, you just dunk it, especially if Amalgadon. It's just,
it makes Amalgadons way too strong. Like,
so I think that mechs aren't really an issue in the meta. I don't think I very often be like, oh man, this guy, this mech abuser, Deflectors, I don't really get that. But the amount of times where I say, oh, fucking Prester, I'm going to lose because he has that 1 card and he went first and he's killing my Divine
What
Shield.
minion types abuse the game the most, right? It's probably Murlocs #1 and then Dragons #2. Is that correct?
Well, I guess if we just talk about it in the sense where, I'm losing to this again. Yeah, big Murloc Amalgadons, Amalgadon with Prester.
And then mechs, I would say mechs are like #3 with Mecro. Like that's
but I feel like when I lose to mechs, I don't really have this, I'm losing to mechs again.
I know. I'm not. It's not mechs. It's Mecro specifically. It's that card. It's like the rest of y'all are fine, but the Mecro guy, this guy needs to go.
Okay, we're gonna get stuck on this. So I'm gonna move on from the Meckrels because that's just Collins is never gonna let that go. It's just
I don't like you saw it before. Like I don't understand the design to add it back. Like it's so confusing to me. Like, you saw how problematic it was with the Murloc engine. You're like, you know what? That design was fine though. Like that was perfectly fine design. Let's just put it on mechs, because mechs don't have any strategy with abusing Divine Shields at all right now. They're fine. Like, I just like don't get it. All right. Anyways, you're right. I will be on this forever. That's true.
No, it's fine. I love it. I like it. So I am going to just first of all just have peace with that. We're never going to cover a meta talk like this in one podcast, so it's going to be part of it, and then I guess next podcast we'll just continue. But something I just wanted to start to explore at the end of this podcast is is there really a poison problem? And I think to an extent you can say it's very dominant in the Murloc lobbies, and you have to really, really keep it in the back of your mind of, if I'm going to make this strategy, does that line up well versus poisons, right? So yes, I will say that is extremely common. But the very big caveat there is, or maybe not caveat, but the very big consideration there is, if you drastically nerf poison, does the meta get better?
No.
I'm not so sure about
even
that.
The removal, I wouldn't necessarily, even the extra removal, I don't know if it's made up better.
Yes, I agree. So that we haven't talked as much about that, indeed, where the removal of Maxna, which addressing the Reborn Maxna combo is good, because it was, I explained this on previous podcasts, where I am very fine with there being a catch-up mechanic, which is poison. But the moment that your poison becomes stronger than my good unit, we have a bit of a problem. So one thing like that is Divine Shield Poison Amalgadon. That is what people complain about, because they have a big minion. Well, that amplifies the effect. But let's say you have a big minion and But anyways, I guess the point there was having a reborn Maxna. Well, was probably a lot easier than getting a perfect Amalgadon. You just needed
for
to have
sure.
2 cards instead of having a bunch of tribes in the brand. So you get basically the best minion in the game, which is a Poison Divine Shield Amalgadon. You get that in the form of, oh, I rolled 1 Maxna and I get a reborn. Boom, right? And I can do that again. No problem. And I only have 2 board spaces required for that. I don't need to sack half my board for tribes in a brand, etc. And my reborn Maxna is now just stronger than your minion. That's what I had a problem with. But removing Maxna altogether makes it a lot harder, especially in the no Murloc lobbies, to have poison. And that has made the meta not necessarily better. I agree. I think that if Maxna was still around, but she would just not interact with the reborn snake, the meta would be better. Because you'd have more answers.
I don't like the removal of Maxa in Beast Comp specifically as well. Like I actually think my Maxna played a vital role in that Beast Comp to kind of deal with the zap counter and also to deal with sometimes you need something to deal with a big unit in front, right? So you'd play your Goldrin into Maxna and then that would deal with the big unit. Then your other beast could like deal with the rest of the board, and you can't really do that anymore. And like sometimes like I just have like this, like if you're playing like Mama Bear Beast and then you have a Baron, like with Mama Bear Beast, your beasts are like 10/10s, and then like how do I buff this zap out of this 10th? It's just not happening. So you're just like, well, now I can't even play around zap realistically. Where before I could just like sell the moment, put a max in, and bam, and then I can deal with that and I can play that. So like,
and you'd have like a gem or two, basically.
Yeah. So it would be a way to deal, but like no poison application in Beast actually hurts Beast a lot. Like the upside is like reborn's a lot easier to find, so you can reborn everything, and it's not as like you're stronger than before, but you lose like in the high level lobbies, you lose that like answer to the counters that people used to play.
Yeah, and just having they have that random big taunt, right? Yeah. So that always felt so good, where you could just slip a Maxna in there and be like, okay, I'm gonna put the Maxna third-ish, and then I think it lines up with the yeah, I feel that for sure. That was very common. So that does hurt beasts, because you can have your Goldrin comp or even your this you would sometimes win with Tempo Beast where you have Mama Bears because you had that Maxna. You'd be like, and it's in just the right slot, and it's connected with the big minion, and I have a chance now, because Tempo Beast, if I have to manually chunk through like a golden Urzel, is like good luck.
Not happening.
Not happening. Yep.
Kill kill everything.
Not happening. All right. Cool. So let's have a recap for now. The big point for me was, does the game necessarily get better if you nerf poison? I think that the first thing then that you need to look at is, why is poison so popular right now? Why is it so powerful? Why is it so common? And the thing is that it's really easy to build a lot of large stats, and Murlocs are part of the issue there, where if you have a brand and you're pumping, like, you get very large health Murlocs in no time.
Another issue is some heroes can create stats that other heroes can't contest with, like just like
Gallywix, I guess.
Yeah, Gallywix, Rag, like if they get going, you can't counter that with stats. You have to use something else, so it kind of forces you.
If the answer is, because I guess this is also something that comes to mind, is if you drastically nerf poison and you do have these really, really high scaling heroes, let's say a Chenvala that is unchecked, right? A Chenvala that made it through the early game and has no
feels good, man. That used to be my thing.
Just wee, right? Every shop is wee. He's like, and get the brand and another one of those 4/4 thingies that makes more elementals in my hand, and I have a golden reroll and I pay for it and never roll, and I'm just APM Chenvala, and at the end of the turn you've added +50/+50 to your tower. And to then say to someone's like, well, just outplay them, just make larger things, do something. It's like, no, I need poison, and I need a lot of it to have a chance here. So like, that's my problem right now, is if we're going to say like, well, make 7 avenge 4 or 5, just kill it off, right? Or just do this, do that. It's like, well, that is that makes it so like you basically just concede the moment someone takes off like that, right? The Rag makes it through the early game, has the 80 health Trickster with a Baron on the board. You have the Chenvala that's scaling to the moon. You have the Galliwix that is infinite with the Hoggers and has the 200 health Salty Looter. It's like you need poison to be very accessible so that you can be like, okay, I need to deal with this. Because let's say if we go back to Toxfin, I'm not saying like that's not possible, but the meta's pretty fast right now. I feel like the meta was slower before and you had a bit more time. You're like, okay, I'm going to slowly set up for this. I'm going to get my Toxfin. I'm going to roll another Toxfin. I'm going to, there was some finesse to that. But now you're halfway through that, and then the Galley was like, coming through, minus 25, you're dead. And you had no time to really do it. And the 7 at least allows you to speed that poison, ramp that poison production up a little bit more if you see it coming ahead of time. Anyways, that's the point where I say, like, don't be too quick to just say, oh, poison is terrible for the game right now, when you see just how easy it is to ramp up these stats. And you see that in the no Murloc lobbies.
Yeah, when you're playing those type of heroes, right? Before you used to look at like Beast or Murlocs, oh, now it's gonna be rough, right? Now it's like you don't even care about Beast. It's like Murlocs, okay. And then if it sounds like okay, let's go, that kind of thing. And it's kind of weird that that's the only thing you have to look for. Or Murlocs in.
You get a hall pass, right? Yeah. Murloc's out. Good luck, everyone else. You do that on Pyrrhander too sometimes, right? You're like, I just made a 350 health minion. Good luck with that.
It's weird that that's the only thing that matters for those type of heroes. Where it's like, oh, I only need to check if Murlocs are out. The rest of the heroes, minion types, don't matter at all. It doesn't matter. It's just like, oh, are poisons in? No, all right. Let's play the game. It's a bit weird. I would like to see more answers to big stats, even if it's not like poison in particular. Maybe there's like I have some design strategies to counteract big stats. You could definitely do some all other things, right? There's options, I would say. But I'm not being paid for it.
Well, the old fashioned triangle rock paper scissors is you've got pure stats gets countered by poison.
I use bazooka, Shady. I don't play this rock paper
scissors.
Don't
do rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors bazooka.
I'm winning the lobby. I'm gonna have everything.
Anyways,
in there.
For us mere mortals that do not have access to the bazooka option, right? You have stats. Yes, imagine not having bazookas, right? So you have stats, which then get countered by poison, which then gets countered by death rattles, right? That is the old triangle that no longer really stands because
Collins has a bazooka.
Yeah, Collins is running around with a bazooka. So why the hell we play rock paper scissors? The other point is stats are so large right now that tokens are just good luck with playing tempo beasts unless you're hitting some nasty like early ass golden mama bear rap. You're basically a mid game bully, right? But token based strategies, unless you're playing this super crisp Omega Buster build, they're not really viable in the end game. So you don't get as much punish for these poison creatures. And the other thing is that right now poisons do get like 1 million health, so they don't really even get countered by tokens as much. So you'd have to go back to that and say, okay, if we can adjust the stat scaling so that stats aren't as dominant anymore, so people can actually play some token-based build and not like, lol, you didn't kill any of my minions because you didn't have poison. That would naturally, tone that down a little bit more. Anyways, I feel like I forgot where I was going with this, but that's the takeaway from this is that it's more just a bit of a teaser, a brain teaser, where it's like, think about it. Don't just automatically be like, oh, game would be better if X or Y. There's always a lot of things to be considered. And I think going forward, that is one of the things that is going to be interesting to see is, are we going to continue that power creep? And is it going to just get easier and easier and easier to make large stats? And how will we proceed to balance that out? Because the easier you make it, the more accessible you make this scaling, the more there's going to be that need for poison to counter that. So I wonder if we're going to just have a little bit more of a reset where it's like, okay, at some point buddies go out and we kind of reset a bit back, and kind of like how they did in World of Warcraft, where the max level was God knows what, and they're like, okay, let's like compress it back to 60, right? Or it's like we're starting again from 60 and now we're just building up again. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But for now, right, I just encourage you to not automatically say, oh, poison's bad for the game, or we need to nerf poison, because I feel like you're going to create a very boring meta where it's just, okay, I'm going to try to get a big minion, and then I'm going to make my minion larger. And whoever, rolled their scaling the earliest is going to win the game, because, the only way I have to counter your stuff is by getting bigger. And I can't get bigger if you got your scaling earlier. So I guess I lose.
Yeah, two things. First of all, Nagas are coming, apparently. So maybe that will introduce some new mechanics that could deal with poison.
That's true.
Right? So that there is a hope there. Maybe they have a secret 5-head plan to add these minion types that can deal with poison a lot easier. But I'm not holding my breath for that. Let's be honest, I'm not. I ain't that faithful. Second thing, someone's asking if it'd be interesting if Spore had a minion type, and I do think that would be hard to implement. Right, you're just kind of creating another like unit that does something. Like Spore with a minion type is a different unit than Spore without a minion type. It is fundamentally different. And what minion type would you even put that actually makes sense, right? You can't put it in like Mechs or Murlocs. can't put it in dragons would be weird. Even it'd be like what, pirates, quillboars, right? Like your demons. Like it doesn't. It would fulfill a completely different role, right? Then it wouldn't be a Spore anymore. It would just be that minion type with poison. And now it'd be more playable, right? Because you could just run it with like Light Fang. You could run it with like Mugs and buff it and make it like 2-for-1 and things like that. So it'd definitely be more playable. But would it fill the role that Spore currently fills? No, it would. It'd be filling a different role. It'd be more of a like a that units it stopped being a Spore unit and more of like a demon unit. It'd be a demon unit now. You'd play it with demons more often than not than as a tech card. Obviously you still use a tech card, but it would change the function of that hero. I think if you wanted to add poison, you just make a different unit with poisoners or a way for it to gain poison that isn't interacting with Reborn. Personally, like I'm not a fan of that. But I wouldn't mind like a new Beast My Exna just doesn't interact with Reborn. Like the Battle Cry one was a pretty cool
That was indeed a good idea, where just turning if you make Max not Battle Cry, then the Reborn version will have poison. So because I do think that beasts, you can't really take a Reborn Snake away from them right now. It's even a Reborn taunted Goldrin with parrots usually doesn't get there. So
which is sad,
but yeah, just finishing this up by just saying like I actually like the meta right now. So don't take this as like huge. We have these huge problems and they gotta be addressed. And the game is unplayable right now. It's like no, I actually think the meta is really good, and I like playing it. I play it every day, and I can't get enough. I really enjoy it. So yeah, good meta. Absolutely nowhere near Doomsayer shenanigans or hard rolling for frogs or whatnot. But yeah, I understand that as long as there's some issues with it, people are going to point them out and say this is something we need change. So we'll see how they address that in the future.
And for me, I haven't thought of whether I like the meta or not, which I guess in a way is a recommendation of the meta itself. Like I'm not actively complaining, because I remember a friend of a friend where I was like, should I just not stream and just like play a different game was my thought. And I was like, but I have a tournament in like a week, like and that was like pulling me back, but that was like it's not a good time. So it's not like that right now. So I do, I still do play it, but I haven't really thought about whether I'm like, oh, am I enjoying it? I'm just kind of like practicing for a tournament, right? Like having these semi-monthly tournaments, right? It gives me something that's like a reason to practice. Like it's not like I'm not gonna play if there wasn't a tournament. Like I've been playing for years, right? But like there's a real reason to like get a little bit better, right? Like that was the thing. Like before there was not really a need to get a little bit better. Like I was like, I don't need to be that good. Now it's like I do need to be on top of my game, especially after the first tournament, right? Like a lot of things to learn from that one. So
I think it's amazing to have. I mean, that's essentially what we wanted for Arena for years, right? Just
why
make it
doesn't
matter
Arena
how well I
have it?
perform.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool. In BGs, it matters. Like you increase your spot on the ladder. That already for me was good enough. It was like there's a ladder. It's like there's a finish, and it's like, but now the finish on the ladder also matters, which is like okay, now we're talking.
The ladder never mattered really to me. I don't really care unless I was number one. Then I cared. If I wasn't, then I didn't care. Like, and it's
the number one. Collins does.
No,
don't wake him up.
It's because I don't care. Because like no one cares if you're not number one. Like as viewers, and I only care because it might give me more viewers. So like that's the only reason. I don't actually care about being number one. To be honest, like I don't care. But I know that being number one gives you more viewers. So that's the fallback for actually caring. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. Who cares?
You did talk about it, how ridiculous that was, where you'd be like, number 2, amazing player.
I was number 2 like this week.
Not number 1.
I'm not number, like, didn't do nothing for me. Like, didn't do nothing. It doesn't matter at all.
It is true. You got to be number 1 for people to care. Now, I mean, you're going to get some traction, right? But the jump from being number 2 to being number 1, the traction, the attention from the people that are suddenly going to start watching.
I don't get it. Personally, I don't get it, but whatever.
It's because people just look at the list and be like, oh, this guy's the best. Okay, let me learn from this guy and only this guy who's the best, or girl, right? It's like only this person who is the best can teach me something, or is only good enough. I only watch the best. Which it's understandable, right? People just they want the best.
EU then if I wanted to do that,
but it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. You just ignored my dig.
Wait.
Yeah.
But I heard you say something.
I said I should just play on EU if I wanted to do that.
You mean the first on the second page then, or what? Like No, Collins. We should absolutely do this for a podcast today at some point, where for a qualification period we swap servers and they just play on that.
That would be interesting. Fun. Unless we don't make it, then because you could do that because the MMR is resetting, right? On
I think at some point, right, where hopefully I get to actually play from the start, right? This meta.
It'd have to be on May. Like that's when the MMR resets.
Yeah, and I just get to do both my accounts, right? And we get to see which one is be like, oh, my EU account is a lot harder today. Get out here.
It comes a little too often, Comes my lobbies too much, It's a little bit tough. I see. But yeah,
a little bit of good old EU NA banter.
All right, I think that's it, right?
Let's wrap it up here. Yes.
Right. So that will be the ending of this podcast. And guys, for joining us. Hope you didn't miss us too much last week. Should be going back to regular schedules. This one was on Saturday because Shady was busy Friday, so it might be a little bit weird when you get this one, but that's just the reason. Sometimes people have things.
So my wife told me, like, hey, you're picking up her daughter. I was like, sure. And then later it's like, that also means that I won't be home, right?
You didn't even complain? Yeah. Wow. What a
I was like, this is ridiculous, taking care of my own child.
Bravo.
No, exactly. No,
so I have a podcast with Collins.
Yeah, my brain just had a process this. Yeah, I was like, oh, cool, I got to pick her up. That's fine. This is like, you do know that means I won't be at home, right? It's like, yes, I definitely realized this. So that's why on the day it was a little bit of confusion. It's like, yes, Collins, I didn't tell you. I can't actually make it today.
Yeah, I did the podcast. I did the slides and everything. I was like, I'm ready to be hurt. Ready to talk about the tournament now. Like,
and then I gave him an extra day.
He gave me an extra day. Like, wow, so nice.
All right. See you, everyone. Thank you for watching. This was good.
Episode 52. I know we've been doing this for a year. Topic. Well, we've been doing this for more than a year. That's the thing, right?
There's been a week here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. We've skipped a week or two. So
there was a TFT splurge at some point. I'm
dead. We've never went back to Divinity as well. Like,
this is true. The next horrible meta we get, Collins. We finished
the next horrible meta. All right, let's go. All right, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's see you, Shady.
See you guys.